I used to do those circuit workouts when I was younger, when I first discovered strength training. I used to do this circuits workout, the circuit ab workouts without any rest in between sets, or very little rest between sets, thinking I would build an amazing physique with that, even though that's not what happened. And often the YouTubers making those videos didn't even do those workouts themselves. They just uploaded those videos for views, but they didn't do those workouts themselves. But I used to think it was the case. I used to think they built their physique thanks to those amazing circuit workouts where they were doing mountain climbers and then crunches and then fucking push-ups for 20 seconds. And now that I look back, I think about it, the main reason why those workouts were so shit at least for building muscle is that there was basically no rest in between sets, and the intensity was also very low. So it wasn't structured in a way to build actual muscle. Even when I first started really training with sets and reps and everything, at first I drastically underestimated how much rest I needed between sets. And I always had this mindset that a lot of beginners have. This hustle mindset that, oh yeah, don't rest long between sets. Long rest breaks are for losers or something like that, or you're lazy if you rest long between sets. But as I got further and further into my lifting journey, I started to understand that it was actually better, sometimes a lot better, to rest for longer between sets. My mindset used to be that you should just rest break should be as short as possible in the past, but now it just drastically changed. And now I'm thinking, yo, it's actually better to rest for longer. And the reason why is just first of all, I'm just gonna tell you how long I rest between sets. I rest for a minimum of 3 minutes between sets and a maximum of 6 minutes. So even on isolation exercises like bicep curls, I still rest for at least 3 minutes on those exercises. And on more difficult exercises like dips and pull-ups, I rest for at least 5 minutes. And the reason why is just it's important if I want to be able to progressively overload, even on that second set, even on that third set of exercise. I only do 2 sets per exercises. So even on that second set of a certain exercise, I need to be able to give it everything I have. But if I just go, even though I'm not really fresh by then, I just go into that second set just because I don't want to rest for long, and my muscle isn't even fully recovered. And that set is pretty much shit. And I do literally 4 reps or 5 reps less than I did on the first set. Then that second set is basically just junk because I did that set and I couldn't even give it everything I had because I wasn't fully recovered. It doesn't necessarily mean that I aim to do the exact same amount of reps on the second set than I do on the first set. No, I never do that. I always do at least one rep less than on the first set, and most of the time 2 reps less than I did on the first set. Sometimes even 3. And it's not because I go into the set not being fully recovered. It's just that when you train a muscle really hard and you do one hard set, for the rest of the day, that muscle isn't going to be as strong as it was before you did that first set. But at least what I'm trying to do with the rest breaks is to get my muscle as recovered as it needs to be, as recovered as it can be, to go into the second set, so that I can actually push myself again and recruit as much muscle fibers as possible on that second set. Because if you just want to go in after 1 minute of rest, that second set isn't going to be productive at all. And I'm probably not going to be able to really progressively overload the next week if I decide to just stay with that mindset of, oh yeah, I'm going to rest for as little as possible. But that's the mindset that we often have, and I can understand because you think, oh yeah, Longer rest breaks are for lazy people. And I used to think like that. I think pretty much every beginner has this mindset to begin with, but it couldn't be further from the truth. Optimized gains, I've been gaining as like when I used to rest for like 1 minute between sets, 2 minutes between sets, I wasn't growing at all. But when I started actually listening to some people that recommended this to me, like Max Yosida, Alex Leonidas, and different people that just talk about longer rest breaks, people that were more advanced than me, that have better physiques than me, and I just said, okay, I'm gonna try this out. It really, really changed my whole perspective. And even when I first discovered, okay, you should rest longer, I still follow that advice of, oh yeah, rest for 2 3 minutes on isolation exercises. That was dumb. Even when I used to, even on isolation exercise after 2 minutes, most of the time I'm not really fully recovered after 2 minutes on an isolation exercise. I need more than 2 minutes of rest. I need honestly more. If I go back and do another set after 2 minutes of bicep curls, that second set is going to be pretty much shit and junk. So I just experimented and I realized I need at least 3 minutes on isolation exercises. And on big, big compounds, like dips, like weighted dips, weighted pull ups, or zombie squat, I really need at least 5 minutes to be fully fresh and ready to go back in there. That's just how it is. So I think a lot of it should also come from experimentation. I don't think you should have like a strict rule in your head and say, okay, I'm gonna rest for 5 minutes between each set. I think you should maybe have a timer. Or some people just recommend you not even have a timer and just look at how you feel. I realized that it doesn't really work for me. I used to try to do that, to not really have to time my rest breaks at all and just go back when I feel like I'm fresh again. But I realized that it wasn't really working for me. I was always I was always either resting way too long than required or resting way too short. So that didn't really work for me. But maybe I just did it wrong and I could try again and build up that skill of being able to kind of guess when you feel fully recovered between after the first set. But yeah, it really depends on how fatiguing the set was. So I will just do between 3 to 6 minutes of rest. But for you, maybe you might actually find that maybe you can recover from some exercises with after just 2.5 minutes. But for me, I just experimented and I saw it wasn't working at all. It wasn't possible for me. I wasn't fully recovered after the first set if I just took 2 minutes. So don't have an arbitrary number in your head of saying, okay, I need to rest a maximum of 3 minutes on a session exercises. No. Have this mindset, take this mindset with you. A mindset that I've been using for a while. It's way better to rest too long than it is to rest too short. So it's better to actually rest longer than I required than it is to rest shorter than it was actually that you actually needed that you actually needed. Because there isn't an actual big downside if you rest 30 seconds more than you actually needed. But it can be a big downside and it can really negatively impact the second set if you rest 30 seconds less than required for your muscles to be fully recovered and ready for the second set. And another thing I want to talk about is resting between unilateral exercises. So unilateral exercise is an exercise that you do with one arm or one leg at a time. So it can be Bulgarian split squat or like cross body curls with one arm at a time. And on even on unilateral exercises, I rest between arms. So what I do is I rest 1 to 2 minutes between arms on unilateral exercise. So on Bulgarian split squat, for example, I first with the first leg, my right leg. I do my first set to failure. Then I put my timer on, and between I don't just go directly to the left leg. I don't do that. If you, I often heard this thing from some people, and I found it cringe. I saw some videos. If you're not resting between, if you're not resting between legs on Bulgarian split squat or between legs on some Bulgarian split squat, then you're not training hard enough. And I used to believe, yeah, no, that's so dumb. No, that's not the case. It actually is the case. If you don't need any rest in between unilateral exercises, you're probably not training hard enough. Because when you really push yourself on unilateral exercises, going back and switching arms directly afterwards isn't a good idea. You're probably not going to be able to really give it your all on the second set. You need to prepare more. I know exercises like Bulgarian split squat. Firstly, it's going to be pretty much impossible to just go, or if you are able to, Bulgarian split squat, you're definitely not training hard enough because on an exercise like Bulgarian split squat, first your cardio is you're going to be kind of a little bit like your heart rate's going to be up. And you're still going to feel that front leg burning. So there's going to be so many factors that are going to negatively impact your seconds, your set if you just decide to just switch leg directly and just start doing it again. For me, after one set of Bulgarian split squat on one leg, I'm gonna need some time to recover to go to the second leg because first I have so many lactate in my like my leg is full with lactate, so it's burning, and I'm kind of out of breath, and it's so difficult. So and you need I think I've heard this from many people. I used to not really believe it, but you need to rest between the unilateral exercises. What I used to do before is I used to just do my first leg and then directly the second leg, and then in between that I would rest. But now I just do that. I do my first set with one leg, and then between the first leg and the second leg, I take 1 to 2 minutes of rest. That's what I do now, and it works very well. It's been working very, very, very well for me. I want to talk about something that I learned from a podcast that I watched of Mike. What's his name? Mike I forgot his name. Mike, the guy from Renaissance Periodization, an amazing YouTuber. And he talked about kind of a checklist you should kind of follow to be able to kind of see if you fully recover from a set. And the first thing he said, okay, the muscle isn't burning anymore. The muscle seems to not really be burning anymore. So pretty much you don't have like too much lactate in the muscle anymore. So the muscle isn't burning after the set anymore. Second thing he talked about, he said your cardio is back to normal. You're not breathing heavy, and it shouldn't be a restriction on the second set. The other thing he said is another muscle shouldn't be, and another muscle to you're not really considering, or you're not really you don't have to be anxious about another muscle not being recovered, or not a muscle that isn't the main driver, the main mover of that exercise interfering or making you stop short from what you could have done if you'd rested longer. And she talked about different things. I mainly forgot what he said, but I found it interesting because Mike from Renaissance Periodization, he really pushed this mantra of not really thinking or timing the rest you take between sets. He really talks about just going with how you feel. I really struggle to do that, but you can experiment. You can go watch that podcast. It was a podcast he was on Chris Williamson's podcast, and he talked about that. I found it interesting. I found it very interesting. For me personally, it just works best to just have a timer, like a stopwatch. Stopwatch. I don't time it, but I just have a stopwatch, and I kind of see, okay, 3 minutes or 3 minutes. I kind of see the trend because I kind of know how long I need to rest for a certain exercise. Because I just have to look back of how long I used to rest. I usually rest between sets of my exercise. Because a lot of it just comes from experimenting and seeing what works for me, seeing what works on a certain exercise, what doesn't work. There were times where I tried to just rest 3 minutes between dips, just off dips, but it never worked. The second set was always very bad when I just decided to just rest 3 minutes. So then I went to 4, and I saw 4 was a little bit better, but it wasn't really optimal. So I went to 5 minutes at least. Same thing on pull-ups. There was a period where I was just resting 3 minutes between sets of chin-ups. But then I realized I avoided chin-ups, but then I realized, yeah, I'm not really fully recovered for that second set. So I decided to just do 4 and then 5. So a lot of it will really come from experimentation and really be able to see, is this, was I able to really give it my all on that second set? Or was the second set pretty much junk and shit because I wasn't fully recovered from the first set? That's really what I try to look for. So yeah, if you're interested in fitness coaching, you can click the first thing in the description. Darren from Scumberg. Chase it.